This video is another video of record from March 27th, 2024. And this video is for Ah Peh Elizabeth McDaniel, my daughter, and Michu's daughter, and for Carissa Vela or Carissa Noel, whichever you would prefer. And the reason I'm making this video is to discuss with you directly the nature of the situation we are faced with. You don't have a daughter. You want our daughter, Ah Peh Elizabeth McDaniel. I understand some part of your dilemma. I understand, or I'm given the impression, that you believe in God, that you go to church, and I don't know how studied you are on the Bible, but there are numerous cases in the Bible where a woman asked God for a child, and she conceived. She had a child. The problem we have here is that you want our daughter. And while we understand that you don't have a daughter, we really aren't volunteering to give up our daughter. Now, this is not a discussion between myself and the caseworkers or the staff at DHS or the machinations of how they do things. This is just between myself and you to sort of clear the air and talk about this and the ramifications of what is going on right now. So people are advocating that Ah Peh not be returned home. And from what I understand, you are advocating that Ah Peh Elizabeth McDaniel stay with you. Now, maybe I should give some context, since this video is also for Ah Peh. Ah Peh is an Akha name given to her by her maternal grandmother, who lives on a village on the border with Burma in the northwest of Thailand. And Elizabeth is the name of her grandmother and her great-grandmother. And McDaniel is my last name. And she has brothers and sisters, and she has nephews. She has a big family that she's connected to. It's her family. But we've seen that you don't have any intention of allowing her to be a member of that family if it's left up to you. Now, there's something in the Bible about not coveting your neighbor's child. And in 6+ years, you don't know Ah Peh's mother. You've made no effort to show that you have any understanding or feeling for her, or that you have the capacity, or that you have something that would look like compassion or thought about what her mother might be going through all these years missing her daughter. And I won't say exactly what that says about you, but it does say something pretty dramatic. Now, I've been going to visits with AhLmm and Ah Peh for many, many years. And while I might make note of some things that I hear, I don't speak negatively of you or your husband. But aside from the visits, I'm pretty incredulous. I'm pretty amazed, and maybe it's a harsh word to say, but the bubble that you live in. And I say that for the purpose of reflection. Because this video is to you, but it's also to Ah Peh, so that people understand what is happening here. So I see an absence of compassion on your part for her parents, but most specifically for Michu, woman to woman, that you would have some sense of feeling for a woman who loved her daughter very much and very much wants her back. And that you are not under any obligation to participate in the deviancies of DHS. In other words, you're a free individual. You can exercise compassion or not. But I don't see that. I wonder, I think about how could this woman want so badly to own someone else's daughter? And how would she feel if that was happening to her? Does she feel at all? Is she just a pawn of DHS, like a substandard intellect that is easily manipulated by DHS, and she doesn't think for herself? She doesn't have a soul? She doesn't have a sense of compassion for another woman who's done her no harm? That Michu has thousands of pictures and videos of her time spent with Ah Peh over years. Thousands. Are those meaningless evidence of a relationship between a daughter and a mother under the worst conditions of separation that you can imagine? And you haven't shared a holiday of any kind in what's close to 6.5 years? I mean, think about that. And this video is for Ah Peh, because however this turns out, Ah Peh will get to see this video, that it's marked March 27th, 2024. And it is a discussion of this situation so that she knows the perspective of what this looks like. Now, you can treat her well and you can do fun stuff with her, but at the end of the day, she's still not your daughter. And as Ah Peh matures, she's going to find out the machinations of how you agreed, how you collaborated with DHS. And it's like you're a pawn of DHS, because you don't show any signs of compassion for the relationship between her and her mother, Michu. I was saying, this goes on along. I hope this little girl gets to go home. This little girl needs to be with her mother. She's not my little girl. I didn't have a little girl. Maybe we could go so far as to say God didn't see fit for you to have a little girl. Who knows? We don't know these things. But a compassionate person would think, maybe at 2 a.m. in the morning, years ago, Aubrey Haverkost, when you called in to the family meeting and told about Ah Peh screaming in the night, and Aubrey Haverkost has a daughter that's a couple months different than Ah Peh in age. And this, even with Aubrey Haverkost, this piece of humanity showed itself momentarily. And after you described the trauma that Ah Peh was going through 3 years into the situation, Aubrey Haverkost said, it's from the trauma of being in foster care. She understood some aspect of it. When we were asked, would Michu let you continue a friendship with Ah Peh and AhLmm, she expressed that she wasn't opposed to that. Have to see how it worked out, but she wasn't opposed to that. She wasn't opposed to anything good. But when it came your turn, will you allow Ah Peh and AhLmm to continue? Well, I wouldn't say continue, because you haven't allowed any contact with her siblings. When it was asked, are you interested to allow her to have continued contact with her siblings? And you made it very clear that you are not interested to allow Ah Peh any contact with her siblings. So I want to make that very clear to you, Ah Peh, that as of 2023, Carissa is unwilling and has no interest and does not want you to have any connection to your family, your brothers, your sisters, your nephews. Nothing. And that amazes me, because I can't imagine how somebody does that. You talk about anxiety. What kind of anxiety do you think is going to bubble up when a person becomes of age and figures out what happened and your involvement in it? Because I don't think you're being honest. I don't think you're being accountable. I don't think any of your friends or family are holding you accountable. And this video is for them too. Because basically you're saying, I'm going to take this woman's daughter and sever her relationship with her mom and her dad and her brothers and sisters. Okay, and to me, that's in itself sad, and it's naive, and it's ignorant, and it's selfish, and I wouldn't say it's hateful, but it sure has some elements to that. But it's very short-sighted, because anyone who has half a conscience that looks at this picture would be shocked at the absence of any indication of compassion that you have for Ah Peh's mother. And Ah Peh's going to find that out. She's going to figure that out, that all the nail polish in the world will not make up for the time that was stolen from her with her mother. I know Michu would do absolutely anything for Ah Peh. Now, we have Steve Walls, who is a confessed alcoholic, who somehow destroyed his own marriage and his own relationship with his two daughters. And he's screaming TPR, been screaming TPR since January 31st, 2018. And how'd that work out for him? You scream to destroy somebody else unjustly. So I don't control many things, but I think that the way you're playing this, when Ah Peh figures out your role in it, I think there'll be some anxiety on somebody's part. And I think that it won't be a particularly happy or restorative or rejuvenating experience. And the other thing is that you go to church, you believe in God, but there's deception in it because you're playing a deception on Ah Peh. Maybe DHS, leads you down that path, but at some point you have to be responsible for yourself and intelligent enough to be saying, look, I'm being played. This mother must dreadfully miss her daughter. I'm taking and have taken some of the best years of this little girl's life when she was separated from her culture and her language. Ha ha ha. That's how DHS thinks of all that stuff, because they're all white women down there. They don't give a rat's ass for anybody that's not white. Now, I will say this, there's a couple very kind-hearted gals down there, and they deserve credit where credit is due. They're kind to my kids. And but you have to realize that you're playing in part of a deception. And that deception's hurtful to me. It's hurtful to my wife, Michu. It's hurtful to all her brothers and sisters. I mean, they all showed up, except one. They all showed up at the house today for the visit. Ah Peh and Victor and Ango really loves time with the kids, and Asa couldn't make it. That it's a family. Anybody that looks can see that this is a family, and you're trying to tear Ah Peh and AhLmm like fabric. You're trying to tear a piece out of a family, and that's a deception. You're cooperating with an evil thing. There's nothing good about it. They have a farm, they have a boat, they have a horse, they have a nice house to live in, greenhouses, place to run and play. They've got ATVs, brand new little ATVs that they've never been allowed to use. Now ask yourself, just on that case alone, ask yourself, isn't that cruel? It doesn't matter what excuses DHS makes. These little kids were given ATVs made for little kids and they were intentionally prevented from ever getting to use them. That's part of the deception. They get to do anything they want to do at your house, chip their teeth, whatever it is, they get to do whatever they want to do, whatever y'all be up to. But they're not allowed to do very much at their own place, to enjoy the little ATVs, the run of the farm, that sort of thing. They're not allowed that. Did you know at the visits, they tell me I cannot talk about the future? I cannot tell Ah Peh that when she wants a little horse, I'll get her one. Nothing about the future. But this video is talking to Ah Peh and AhLmm about the future. This is not a visit. This is for the whole world to see this picture. Ah Peh and AhLmm, anything you want, within reason. Whatever time it takes, we'll get it for you. Whatever education you want, we'll work with you. Okay? You want to travel the world, you want to sail around the world in a sailboat, we'll work with you. Ask your brothers and sisters. They lived in China, they lived in Laos, they lived in Vietnam, they lived in Thailand. They traveled across the United States on horseback. They've been all over. They've been to the United Nations talking about people ripping off people's kids. Christian missionaries from the United States going to Thailand and ripping off people's kids. Oh, their parents are drug users, whatever, we make a lot of money every month off these kids, just like Ah Peh and AhLmm. Carissa, you make money off my two little kids. About $1,600 a month or more. All right? And there's other stuff that could be talked about. I won't mention it here. But I think you're involved in a dishonest thing. And Ah Peh will one day figure that out. AhLmm wants to go home, definitely. Steve Walls jumps up and down and goes, no, he doesn't want to go home. Forget about the brothers and sisters. That's all, that's all a bunch of nonsense, I don't know what they teach in churches. Isn't it time that you told Ah Peh and were honest with her that what your intentions are? That your intentions are to completely forever separate her from her family. Just admit it. Put a bumper sticker on your car. All right? And I know there's probably a whole lot of people in the church you go to who are just fine and okay with that. Because the American missionaries in Thailand were just fine with taking bunches of kids away from their parents. The guy's got a BS story, and make it okay, but it doesn't make it okay. Family values, and the first thing they do is take somebody's kids, right? What would church women do without DHS supplying them with people's babies? What would they do? How would they survive? And then they can look, a hero, a white woman walking into the supermarket with two little black kids, and, oh, I got this baby, I'm a foster mom, yeah. But it's a lot more complicated than that. So this is to Ah Peh and AhLmm. Carissa Vela Noel has absolutely no interest in you going home. She especially has no interest in Ah Peh going home. And she has no interest in you having a relationship with your brothers and sisters, your mom and dad. She has no interest. And she's under the deluded thinking that as you grow older and figure that out for yourselves, that won't have an effect on how you see her. You know, when you play chess, I always talk about the end game. From the moment you start out, you're playing the end game. You're working the end game backwards. And you're saying in 5 years for AhLmm, he can get his driving permit. He can own a car. For 6 or 7 years. In 6 or 7 years, Ah Peh is going to be right behind him. But she has all these brothers and sisters. She can ride in their cars, and she can ride in AhLmm's car like two peas in a pod. And there's going to be all kinds of people waiting to tell her who the people were that kept her from coming home. And you can look at studies, you can look at personal stories of divorced people where mom told me that dad was a bastard, and when I grew up I found out that we had fun together. So it was this mean, vindictive mom that told me that about my dad. And I'm not saying you're mean and vindictive, but I'm just saying that these relationships, these situations play out. And then they go sideways when the kids find out what really went on. All right? So I don't know if you have a devil or what. I think trying to take Ah Peh and AhLmm away from us, I think it's dishonest. I think it's immoral. I think it will not have a happy ending, because those two little kids, they are not stupid. I'll tell you that much. They are not stupid. And there's a lot of people watching this case, and no explanations by you or your entire make-believe church that goes along with this kind of nonsense is going to prevent that from happening. They're going to find out, right? And so I think you should be honest with Ah Peh and AhLmm and just tell them, I'm trying to rip you off. I got on the stand and I said, you ain't never going to see your brothers and sisters and mom and dad if I get my way. And then you come and tell me how Ah Peh and AhLmm view you when you tell them the truth. Because that's what this video is about. It's about telling Ah Peh and AhLmm that Carissa Noel, Carissa Vela, she is trying to keep you two kids from ever seeing your parents or siblings. She's not happy that you lost your culture and your language so that you could talk to your mom in her own language and your own language like your brothers and sisters can. She's not happy with that. She wants to delete your Akha culture and tradition, where you come from, forever. And one day, Carissa, you know, who knows, maybe it'll take you 20 years. Some things are like that. It takes a really long time. And you're going to figure out, well, this was really stupid. And I'll ask my kids when they grow up, I'll say, you know, did you know that Carissa, the Velas, they did everything they could to keep you from having a relationship with your parents and siblings? Aaron Vela, I never hear about this guy. I don't know whether he's a man or what. Seems like you're running the show, Carissa. And that's pretty much what happens in the church matriarchy. The guys shut up and the women make all the rules and run the show. I don't know. See how it turns out. But the videos are out here about what you're involved in and how dishonest it is. And I want you, Ah Peh, and I want you, AhLmm, to understand this, that we cannot sit idly by on the sidelines and say nothing happened here. That your childhood was stolen from us and we don't care. No, we do care. We fought for you tooth and nail the whole time. And we have Judge Hill saying things like, I find the witness credible. With attorney Matt Jarvis sits back with both thumbs up his ass and doesn't do shit in cross-examining the witness. Goes back to court, and the wings get torn off that witness. They get impeached for lying. Where's that with Judge Hill? He used that witness's lies to take our kids. And you, Carissa, are now a part of those lies. Okay? So, be honest with yourself if you can't be honest with anybody else, that you're involved in a great dishonesty, a great tragedy, in a theft. It doesn't matter what DHS gives you, how they want to swab you and make you feel good about what you're doing. You're still trying to steal our kids. We don't agree with it. And we'll make sure that Ah Peh and AhLmm know. We'll make sure that their friends know. We'll make sure that everybody knows that for 6.5 years, and however this turned out, we fought to keep them from being stolen. And you stole some of those precious years. I have just incredibly precious photos of Ah Peh. And you stole those years from us, and you have no conscience. I think you have a devil. I have never met a human being. I've seen Akha women have more compassion for a small lizard on the side of a tree that had just grabbed a grasshopper, and a big lizard came running up the tree and was going to grab the whole business. And that Akha woman who was walking down that road and just happened to pass that tree and seen it, she grabbed the shoe off her foot and went like this. She was going to whack that big lizard because she had more compassion for that little lizard. She had more compassion for that little lizard than you have for what has been done to Ah Peh and AhLmm and their parents and their siblings. Because DHS said it was all going to be okay. Don't worry about the details. All right? I'm trying to help you understand that Ah Peh and AhLmm are going to see all the evidence for who you really are. And if you say you believe in God, but you're dishonest and you participated in what has been perpetrated on these two little kids, you are causing these kids, you're tarnishing their trust about what God's all about. How could someone participate in a lie for so many years to keep us from our parents, and she's getting paid for it? What, $800 a piece? We never got paid to take care of our kids. We don't take anything from the government. Okay? And you're getting paid by DHS to play their dirty little game and go goody two-shoe to church on Sunday. These are two ends that are going to come together, all right? And I want Ah Peh and AhLmm, McDaniel, and all their friends to know the lying that's been done to keep you two beautiful little wonderful children from going home to your mom. And Aaron Vela, Carissa Vela Noel, Monmouth Christian Church, everybody played into it like it's no big deal. All right? Well, think about it, because, like I say, kids are going to find out, and then I'll be sad because you will have betrayed them. Okay? They were told they were supposed to trust you, but you betrayed them. You never stood up and said, these kids need to go home. Never said that. All right? It's a free country, they say. You can go say that to anybody you want. But I have seen zero evidence from you that you have an ounce of compassion in your heart for these kids, for me, for Michu, for their siblings. It's all about Carissa. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I need a daughter. Well, you should take that up with God and ask him why he doesn't give you one of your own. Okay? But you can't get what you don't got by stealing it from somebody else. Okay? I love you, Ah Peh, Elizabeth McDaniel. I got that wrong. Opium's middle name is Elizabeth. Ah Peh's middle name is Nadia. Had to make it a little bit different for you, Ah Peh. Ah Peh Nadia McDaniel. And AhLmm William McDaniel. Really beautiful kids. We miss you so much. Ango misses you. Victor misses you. All the times that Victor would have taken you fishing, but no, that can't be allowed. Victor's one of the best fishermen, knows how to catch these big salmon, would have taken AhLmm fishing 1,000,000 times. Not allowed. Okay? We miss you so much. Carissa is going to have a lot of explaining to do down the road. And this stuff's not going to explain away. It is not. Doesn't matter how many, cues and tips that Sarah Pickett gives her, she's not going to be able to explain it away. And we'll see how things turn out. But time, you got this train, those kids are going to reach 15 and 16. And I can't say where they'll be, but that's why this video is here. It's to make sure there's a record of what you've participated in, Carissa. You know that in 6.5 years, my wife Michu's cried herself to sleep every night for those 2 little kids. Separating them away from their siblings was that bitch, Aubrey Haverkost, that cruel, satanic bitch that would do that to children, knowing what she was doing. Knowing what she was doing. What an evil person. Reminds me, and I told her this to her face. I said, you know what? You would have been one of those guards in the Second World War, working for the Germans, shoving little kids into the showers, because she tore those 2 little kids away when they didn't speak anything but Akha, and separated them from their siblings and everything they knew and everything that was familiar unnecessarily. And she did that. What an evil person. And Carissa, you're part of that. You're part of that. It's not going away. Never. What was done to those 2 little kids. I don't know how you sleep at night. You're either incredibly stupid, have no soul, or are beyond just a little bit selfish, or all the above. I don't know. I just can't figure it out. That's why I'm talking to you. I've never seen anything like it. Nobody that I know has ever seen anybody like it. If you come over to Michu's house, she'd cook you the best dinner. You wouldn't be able to walk afterwards. She'd cook you so much food, just like she does for the kids. Crab, shrimp, you know, fried bacon, macaroni and cheese, anything you wanted. Make you some Thai som tam, Thai salad, right? You've made no effort, none. It's all about Carissa. That's what I got to say. Not much I can do about it. Stuff you got to do. We'll see how this turns out. I don't control much of it, but we'll see what happens. Like I say, Ah Peh and AhLmm, I love you very much. I miss all the time that we could have spent together when you were growing up. I can't get that time back. We all have limited time. But one thing I don't have is I don't have sorrow over the fact that I didn't fight for you. Other people can feel sorrow for having stolen you. But I don't have any sorrow or any regrets that I just stood by and didn't say nothing. It's not over till the fat lady sings.